Hi everyone, welcome back. It's great to see everyone again. So we've done a lot of talking this week about changing job landscape, how to identify and think about your own knowledge, skills, and abilities. I told you a little bit about my Uncle Pete and my cousin Tony, and I thought I'd end our time together with yet another story, this time about me. I graduated with an undergraduate degree in philosophy, and I think like many undergraduates, all I knew how to do was name that credential or that degree. You recall we talked about credentials in another lesson. So my credential was my degree. It was a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy, but I didn't really know what that meant beyond I have a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy. I didn't understand how to talk about what I knew. I didn't understand how to unpack or unbundle the degree to tell a prospective employer what I could actually do, what I'd learned, what was my knowledge set, what were my abilities, what were my competencies based on what I learned in those courses. And in retrospect, I realized that it's because I wasn't taking a very active approach to understanding my credential, my degree, and I also didn't understand some of the basic definitions about which we've spoken. So I hope that you find these lessons helpful in that regard. And now that we've discussed sort of protean mindset, boundaryless career, you can take what you've learned and move towards a more active role in your own career. If you have a credential similar to a philosophy degree or anything like that, you might actually find it really beneficial to think about what you've learned in terms of competencies and skills and abilities. So here we're going to locate some tools that actually help you identify critical skills associated with a profession or a job description. And the goal is to move towards your ability to create a preliminary list of your strengths. You all have strengths that you would bring to a prospective job or a career. And most of us also have gaps. So where are we and where would we like to be? And these resources can help you do that. I said in another lesson that there are many websites, many job sites, job lists that can help you perform a self-audit of sorts, that can help you identify or inventory what you bring to the table in terms of your own skills and competencies. Some of them are industry specific. You see on the screen the National Collaborative on Workforce and Disability talks about what it would like to see for workers in its field. Some of them are much more general, and you'll notice as you start looking into some of these websites that some of the core competencies, those soft skills we talked about, really generalize across various occupations and various professions. So take a look at a few of these. Here's another one I pulled up for you to see. It's the American Dental Hygienist Association. So sure, you need to learn how to, clean teeth and do the clinical skills, but you also need to communicate with a diverse set of clients, very much like my cousin Tony had to learn how to teach a diverse set of clients how to fly fish. So you can see how these skills relate, though they're in entirely different professions. All of these tools are what we're calling your career fitness gear. So again, the idea is to get you started, to get you thinking about what other resources might be out there. And the idea is to develop and exercise the skill of career management. ONET is a really interesting, comprehensive site. We have attached to this video a list of resources that can help you do further exploration. This particular tool is used by job seekers, it's used by prospective employers, it's used by professionals in human resources. And that last piece is really interesting because if you can understand how a human resources professional might see you, you can then better understand how perhaps you need to see yourself. So it gives you a very interesting vantage point as opposed to just seeing yourself through a resume or seeing yourself through, the list of jobs you once had. Similarly, the Career One Stop, this is actually sponsored by the United States Department of Labor, but again, it provides a very different vantage point. It also details requirements by state for specific licensing and has very specific resources looking at job analysis, beginning job seekers. It tends to outline high needs professions. So that might be something good for you to investigate. And really what you're doing is beginning to perform this self-audit, this inventory, a checklist of where you are, what is out there in that macro environment, and how you can negotiate between the two to really create some opportunities. And now that you have an idea then of what a prospective employer might want to see in you, you also have a better idea of how to gauge your strengths and your gaps. And the gap simply is the distance between where you are in terms of knowledge, skills, and abilities, and then competencies, and where a prospective employer would like to see you. And the distance between the two is just called a gap, and you can fill that gap with badges or increased credentials or trainings, and some of those sites will help you fill in that gap. So to that end, might be a good idea to practice looking at industries and credentials from different angles. Again, there's a lot of information out there. For me as a philosophy major, it's taken me many years to understand and recognize the competencies embedded in that credential. For example, one that I really missed, really until very recently, was philosophy majors are really good at seeing one topic from multiple perspectives. And wouldn't that translate into being a good team leader or maybe a good facilitator of team development? I didn't see that at the time, and I do now. And I hope that example is illustrative to you too. So to summarize, some questions to ask yourself as you self-assess. What do you know? What can you now do? How could you improve your skills? What are some common competencies or soft skills, non-cognitive skills across many fields or professions? How does your work history or credential relate to your desired field? And if you learn to see yourself objectively from the point of view of a prospective employer or from any outside vantage point, you will be able to really start to articulate your competitive advantage in a very crowded field. But the technical side is not the only piece to all of this. So in week 3, you'll also start to explore how your personality, and remember my cousin Tony, he made the career change based on his personality. So how does your personality, your personal attributes, your goals, how do those factors relate to your knowledge, skills, and abilities? And when you put them all together, you really have the beginning of a very, very robust career management portfolio. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the course.